Hello, my name is Kiana Jackson. This is Labpaq experiment 1 through 5, the axial and appendicular skeleton. Um, this is for Anatomy and Physiology 2401. Okay, the first bone noted is the frontal bone, which is right here on the forehead. The second one will be the parietal bones, which will be right here. This is one side. The next bone would be the sphenoid bone, which will be right here. After that comes the temporal bone, which will be right here. And after that will be the vomer, which will be right here, the middle bone in between the nose. After that is the nasal bone, which is right up top of here. Next will be the zygomatic bone, which will be right here. Then we have the maxilla. After that we have the inferior nasal concha, which will be right in here. After that we have the mandible. The mandible. The next bone will be the occipital bone. Turn it around here. This bone right here, back of the head. After that, we have the ethmoid bone, which will be inside the eye laterally, right back here. And in front of that, we will have the lacrimal bone, which will also be inside the eye laterally. The next exercise is the skull marking. The first one will be the greater wing of the sphenoid bone, which will be right up here. After that will be the infraorbital foramen, which will be these little hole markings right here. The next will be the zygomatic bone and arch. The zygomatic bone will be right here. The zygomatic arch will be right here. The next will be the temporal mandibular joint, which is the joint between the temporal bone and the mandible, which will be right in here. After that, we have the mastoid process, which will be two small processes that come up off the base of the skull right here. Next we have the mandibular angle, which is this right here, this part of the mandible. Okay. Exercise 3, we have the vertebral column. Okay, the first vertebrae at the base that start at the base of the neck are the cervical vertebrae. After that, we have the thoracic vertebrae. Next, we have the lumbar vertebrae. And then we have the sacral vertebrae, which are the fused vertebrae right here at the bottom. After that, we have the coccyx vertebrae, which is the little appendage hanging off the base of the sacral vertebrae. And in between each vertebrae, we have intervertebral discs, such as this. The disc between each vertebrae. Exercise 4, we have the bony thorax, we have the clavicle, which is right here. And then after that, we have the scapulae, which is also known as the shoulder blade. Next, we have the sternum, which is right here in between the ribs. After that, we have the ribs, right here. And then we have costal cartilage, which is the cartilage on the that connect the ribs to the sternum, the false ribs to the sternum. Next we have the floating ribs, which will be the last two ribs down at the base of the thorax. Exercise 5, the appendicular skeleton, shows us again the clavicle as well as the scapulae or shoulder blade. And then we move on to the hip bones. We start off with the sacrum, which are the fused vertebrae right up under the lumbar vertebrae. And then we have the ilium, which is this wide part of the hip bones. And then we have the ischium, which is this part right here. After that, we will have the pubis, which is this bone right here. And then we have the pubic symphysis, which is this area right here between the two pubic bones. Next, we have the coccyx, which is this bottom area underneath the sacrum again. And then we have the acetabulum, which is the area where the femur articulates with the hip bone, which is right in here. After that, we have the obturator foramen, which are these little holes right here in between the ischium and the pubis. And that was the appendicular and axial skeleton from the Labpaq experiment 1 through 5. Thank you.